During the midday hours, the heat beats down mercilessly on the plains. The air is burning hot. A scorched atmosphere robs the ground of humidity, dehydrating everything: soil, plants, and animals. It is a time of immobility, of extreme stillness. The entire plain appears to crystallise. While the animals near the pool spend hours submerged and immobile, on the plains of the interior, the scarce shadows become much sought-after shelters. The dry season advances, and for the weakest, the heat proves too much. For many, like this cow, the rainy season will never come. This time of death is a period of abundance for the scavengers and opportunists of the plain. Animals which are sick or have some physical deficiency die during these days of suffocating heat. The dead capybaras attract the turkey vultures and black vultures, the scavenger birds of the plains who fight the spectacled caimans for their bodies. The caimans' normal diet is fish, so they take advantage of any occasion to eat a capybara, or at least the skin left behind by the voracious scavengers. In a world of such open landscapes, an animal has hardly died before an entire horde of black undertakers arrives. They are not exactly the most appealing of animals, but they play a vital role in sustaining the ecosystem. The relentless heat and the many dead bodies could cause epidemics and diseases if these death-loving scavengers did not act swiftly and efficiently. The water levels of the pools continue to fall and the surface of the plains dries out. The smaller lagoons become small marshy pools where fish concentrate, fighting for the last mouthfuls of air and water. And once again, disaster for some becomes a time of abundance for others. For the caimans, these small pools represent a veritable feast. The piranhas crowd together in muddy waters where the lack of oxygen makes them deathly slow. So, to catch them, all you need to do is to dive down into the water and swallow them down one by one. Our tortoise is now traveling across dry ground which until just a few days ago lay beneath the water. It is 50 degrees centigrade and her dark shell rapidly absorbs the heat, while the dust from the dried out mud chokes her. This is the plains at their most cruel. At least she is lucky in that she doesn't depend on the water as much as the fish, or on body temper as much as the mammals. Otherwise, she too would be dead by now. Exhausted but persevering, the Morrocoy reaches the shore of another pool, this one on such low-lying land that it will retain some water right through until the rains come. This time she doesn't hesitate. A group of leafy trees rises above the water at some distance, and thinking this is the forest, she enters the cool water which cools down her burning shell, bringing relief from the heat. But what the tortoise does not know is that what she thinks is the forest is in fact a group of trees in the water, a place chosen by the American ibises to establish their breeding colony. These jabiru storks, or wood ibises, always live close to the water. For them, this is the time to make the nests and bring their young into the world. The pools shrink and the fish are concentrated, so there is plenty of food and it is easy to catch. The ideal time to ensure the chicks get enough to eat. In years when food is abundant, the storks can raise up to 5 chicks, though 3 is the normal number. Feeding these voracious young is a never-ending job, which both parents share. But survival is not just a question of food. Living directly above a pool presents certain dangers. The chicks know no other world but the leaves and branches and must stay here close by the nest until they develop feathers, their wings gain strength, and they are able to fly away. Until then, their lives will depend on prudence. Beneath the breeding colony lies death. The apparently peaceful waters hide sharp teeth beneath the green blanket of the water hyacinths. They're a silent, invisible army with powerful weapons, patiently waiting to gain revenge on the beings that pursue and devour them on the surface. They are the piranhas. The very name inspires respect among the local people. Piranhas, fish armed with powerful jaws and razor-sharp teeth, shadows among the maze of roots, impatient to receive prey coming from above. If it loses its balance for just a second, the chick will fall to its death. The army swiftly moves into action with incredible ferocity, reducing the victim to bones in just a minute or two. And then, in seconds, calm is restored. The false calm of lurking death. Immobile among the hyacinths, our heroine has discovered that this is not her jungle home, but rather a patch of forest floating on water which she bites. She decides to return to the shore as quickly as possible. Luckily, she is not wounded, nor does she give out smells that would attract the piranhas, and so, moving slowly, she remains unnoticed in the cloudy waters of the pool. But at the surface, close to the shore she is heading for, other eyes are on the lookout. The tortoise is unaware of the presence of the caiman lurking among the hyacinths. Hidden and immobile, only his eyes emerge from the water like periscopes, fixed on the nearby prey. The tortoise continues to swim, and then, just a few meters away, the predator attacks. An exhausted capybara has fallen into the jaws of the caiman. On the plains, weakness means death, but the tragic end of the capybara has left the way clear for the frightened Morrocoy. Again on dry land, she continues on her way, dreaming of the peace of her lost paradise. Since the men took her from her jungle home, many times she has witnessed violence and death. The plain seems increasingly threatening, and though she doesn't know it, the greatest dangers lie ahead. A growing commotion shatters the burning silence. The plains are divided into large cattle breeding estates, and thousands of head of emaciated cattle daily roam across the parched grassland. For the tortoise, the cattle present no danger thanks to the protection of her shell. But among the forest of legs, she spots the cause of her misfortune, an enemy she has now learned to avoid. So, camouflaged among the cattle, she remains immobile until the men pass by. The plains dwellers move off without spotting her. Their only concern now is to round up the cattle and take them to the nearest ranch. Just like the wild animals, the domesticated cattle are more vulnerable in the dry season. Infectious diseases attack with virulence, and the cattle breeders carry out exhaustive vaccination campaigns to prevent epidemics. For the vets, it is a race against the clock. The cattle are threatened by numerous diseases: leptospirosis, anemia, and derengadera, a trypanosomiasis which attacks equine populations. The cattle can infect wild animals such as the capybaras, and hundreds of thousands of zebus and horses roam free across the dry plain, endangering the ecological stability of the entire system. The tortoise continues on her way. She has overcome the dangers of the water, the threat of the caiman, a close brush with man, and the torture of the sun. And now, for the first time on the worst day in her life, a light breeze blows across the plain, announcing sunset. Fields of death surround her. The scavengers have had a busy day, but our tortoise has survived. And now, as the sun goes down, she regains her strength. She will not rest during the night, but will take advantage of the shadows and the cool to advance towards her goal, the jungle, her lost paradise. At dusk, the plains again come to life. Now that the suffocating heat has passed, the animals renew their activities as the inferno declares a temporary truce. And the plains shimmer and glow, showing a different face, rewarding the survivors with this incredible beauty.